The year is 1801. Russia's northern army has been wiped, its men captured or dead. Their general's body lays lifeless, and their commanding officer has surrendered the town to the British army. The Battle of Oslo was over, but the war for Scandinavia was not. Spring 1802, the Prussian king ordered the construction of a fleet, declaring his intention to conquer the remnants of Russian Scandinavia by taking Sweden and annexing it into the Kingdom of Prussia. Prussian forces would occupy Livonia and begin preparations to take Moscow. Upon hearing this, the British would be outraged. Complete Russian annihilation will upset the balance of power in Scandinavia specifically, and the world in general. This could not be tolerated. Upon receiving this news, British King Ugga would begin preparations for an offensive against the Prussians. First, he sent 2 armies to occupy Belgium to stop Prussian and French forces from taking the closest point in the mainland to the British Isles. He then ordered his fleet south to bombard Amsterdam and sent an envoy to both the French Republic and the Tsardom of Russia, agreeing to an alliance which would jointly attack the Prussian menace. With the stage set for a conflict that would decide the fate of balance of power for the years to come, British King Ugga heads down to Sweden with his army to intercept Prussian attempts at landing. On the eve of fall of 1802, British forces enter Stockholm, joined by a small Russian garrison. Their goal? To prevent Prussian forces from taking Stockholm at all costs. British forces fortify themselves on the edge of the town, and the king prepares to ride with his cavalry to meet their counterparts on the Prussian side. Meanwhile, in the Prussian camp, King Eliman I and his general, criticolmiss, discuss their strategy for the upcoming battle. The experienced general wishes to attack the town and use their superior amount of infantry to overwhelm the Brits, knowing that the Prussians' smaller amount of cannons could easily mean that waiting would result in a slow and painful destruction of their army. Eliman, on the other hand, young and full of vigor, wishes to ride with his cavalry to meet the British in their flank before striking at their vulnerable artillery positions. Unable to convince the king, the old general encourages him to at least take 2 infantry regiments with him to support his flanking attack. The king agrees, crossing the river with his forces. After spotting part of the Prussian army crossing the river from his position on the hill, the British king orders 2 of his infantry regiments, as well as his cavalry, to prepare to meet the incoming attack, while also bringing his cannons to a position where they can fire at the enemy's flanking force. The trap has been set. The British king charges with his forces at the incoming cavalry. However, due to his infantry lagging behind, his attack is unsupported and he takes heavy damage from the Prussian infantry's musket fire. However, this was all part of his plan. The Prussian cavalry attempts to escape from their British counterpart and flank the artillery, only to be met with a ferocious artillery bombardment. Their morale collapses and they begin to run. The infantry would also begin to flee. Seeing this, Prussian General criticolmiss orders his men to charge the British positions to put pressure on them. Fierce fighting in Stockholm follows. However, despite ruthless attacks from the Prussians and the fact they outnumbered the Brits, the fortified positions were too much to overwhelm. Soon, news of the king fleeing the battle would reach the troops, and their morale too would begin to break. General criticolmiss would attempt to retreat, however, only he and a small number of troops are able to escape from the battlefield, while the rest of the army is captured and surrenders. This defeat ensured Prussian goals in Scandinavia would be unattainable in the near future. The British had won yet another stunning victory.
Do you want to be featured in one of those videos? Then hop on over to our Discord, Lines of Battle Diplomacy, where we took the critically acclaimed board game Diplomacy and morphed it together with Lines of Battle. Be a general or a country leader that controls a nation on a campaign map and fight out the battles in custom matches. Hop on over to the Discord if you want to find out more.